last night I sat and did a drawing that I thought about in the daytime, and it's kind of intended as a response piece to Vitruvian Man, to Da Vinci's Vitruvian Man. It responds to his questions with some answers. And I've had some lovely comments recently from people about the drawings that I'm dropping, saying they're admiring the art. And I really appreciate that, because I do try and put a lot of effort into making them look sort of pretty. But I know I busy them all up with all the writing all over them, because these are my ideas. As I'm projecting the images onto the page, I then try and write the notes so that I can remember how I assemble it. What does it all mean? Because it's always order of assembly. And so a Vitruvian Man asks the question, what's the relationship between the circle and the square and the man, and these positions? What's that all about? And the leaf and the diagram answers that question, and so much more. Membrane potential is created from bending and tension. Bending and tension are two forces. If you have two forces, they must be arranged orthogonally. The two forces to exist, one must be acting against the other, and yet there'll be a motion with the other. So that the lever and the axis and the load is really all you need to see. And so when you have that arrangement, you have acceleration built into the geometry of the two forces. Arrange them as two circles. Take the idea of one point, the fixed point, Victor Levy's 06 work, and then turn it into the scissor action lever arm. Assume that now you split the two centroids are split, and you can see that all the forces that are acting on that single point that you've taken when you've differentiated the sphere are assembled via the lever arm action of force. You just take the single point, use the scissor arm action, split the centroids, run it through the action, see where the force builds up, see the acceleration, see that momentum has nothing when it gets to the end. So the geometry itself, it has the acceleration that takes the point 3, force pin 3 is forced up to its final position on the clamping action on the other side of the fixed point that you've chosen. You see, you've chosen a fixed point, you're finding that on the other side of the sphere surface there's an action of clamping. And you see that the acceleration that's built into the geometry has used up all its energy. There is nothing there. It's stopped. It's reached the end of its potential, but the velocity that's coming up from underneath it has not. Because it's an equal and opposite reaction to the acceleration built into the geometry, do you see? And so there's a twisting force at the end, because the force, the speed, c meters per second, speed, it's changing vector all the time, is the force in quantum. So force equals mass accelerating equals c to the I squared in this case. It's orthogonal squared action of the velocity c, the force. And then it's just simple. Here's the ring tension in the red. Gains, you're seeing collapse. So take the big sphere with the fire, the heat, right, and see that heat about to collapse to nothing. There's a single temperature, and now you're seeing the entropy of temperature. How does it assemble itself in terms of the collapse to a single entropic point of temperature smaller? It's the journey of entropy of temperature, right? And so you're seeing the two equilateral triangles as the membrane potential and has bending force collapses as the two big equilateral triangles. And because it's the equilateral triangle is relative to the square to the top, the base of the square has a rectangle below it, and that's mass. That's the fluid that's actually creating all this force. You've taken away the fluid. It sits in the tank of the concrete cylinders. And now above that, you see the action. It stands on the surface of the water, so you've gained elevation from the bending. The bending force, the influence of the height of the membrane potential is greater than its actual height, because of it contains the equal and opposite reaction. It's creating the mass force downwards in that small rectangle. And so now all the action stands on the surface, and so the ring tension is now raised to stand on the surface, relative to the surface. And now you have the idea of the cowboy, so that that surface of the water at the base, take that surface and you're just elevating it through its stages, through the chakras of the man, through the stages of elevation of force. And this is all the force. The water doesn't move, the force does. Can you see it? Gets to the point where the cowboy is lassoing, and there's a straight line, and the ring tension rides above the surface of the water as a permanent arrangement. It's squeezing like this. Okay? So you've got the cup, the bowl of the water, of actual fluid. Above it, there's ring tension as the top pulls in. And that's the cosmic microwave background that we see. And I've drawn the two models, and I haven't drawn the actual model that it actually is, which is the pulled back foreskin, can you believe? Where you have the tennis ball model and the hemisphere model. Both are theoretically stable positions, but you can't stretch it's massive. You can't stretch it. It's a solid modulus of the universe upon which everything stands. It's the compressive zero that exists against which everything is forced from the center. Can you see? So what it does is it pulls in the ring tension of the hemisphere is a smaller circumference than natural because of the real membrane potential that's created. So it pulls in. And so the cosmic microwave background will have a big hole behind it. Yeah? And that's what we see, what we're frightened of looking at outside Plato's cave. So the membrane potential is created from bending and ring tension, two forces containing acceleration. And that's a real entity, it's water. And it's a magnetic field forced to be so stable that but it's still different, and it exists as matter. And that's light unfurling. Yeah? Membrane potential is created as a resultant of all forces. So, welcome to the future. Art, for art's sake, is now the purpose. I'm trying to say something now, and that's a deliberate art statement that I've made. I'm not going to put any writing on it. I am going to put another drawing at the bottom. I'm looking forward to it. Because I want to, that's it. I want to say nothing more. I want to place that drawing as the response to Vitruvian Man and invite my peers and my friends and my species to look at it and see if they see anything of value there. Okay, that's it. Gosh, it's been an exciting time. I hope you're enjoying the classes. It's costing you nothing except your time. I love you. I'll see you on the other side.